Chapter 4 is all about customer buying behavior and focuses on the consumer behavior side of retail. Consumer behavior, as you know, is an integral part of marketing. Chapter 4 in our textbook walks us through the consumer buying process that all consumers go through when they make retail patronage decisions and retail buying decisions. So in this chapter, we'll walk through that process, and then we'll also determine how and why retailers group customers into market segments to try to identify a very specific target audience. So let's start by defining consumer behavior. Consumer behavior is defined as the process and activities people engage in when they are searching for, selecting, purchasing, using, evaluating, and disposing of products and services. You're probably already familiar with that buying process. We're going to walk through it today, but we're going to look at it through the lens of a retailer and talk about how the retailer can be involved in each step of that buying process. If you want to be successful in retail, you have to be customer-centric. So every decision that you make, both strategic and tactical, has to be made with the customer in mind. So when we think about the consumer buying process, we have to think about how we can make decisions that will help the customer choose our retail store. So stage 1 of the consumer buying process is the problem or need recognition. So consumers have two types of needs. The first type of need that a consumer might have is a utilitarian need. A utilitarian need can be satisfied when a consumer purchase accomplishes a very specific task. So for a utilitarian need, shopping needs to be easy and effortless. So let's say you need bread, right? That's a utilitarian need. You're going to the store because on your list you have an item that says bread, right? So we have to think about, as retailers, how we can meet that need. Another type of utilitarian need might arise in this situation. If you have a wedding to go to and you know you need a dress, that's a utilitarian need because your purchase is going to accomplish a very specific task. Consumers who are motivated by utilitarian needs tend to shop in a more deliberate and efficient manner. They require adequate information, and again, they want that effortless shopping experience. Another type of need that a consumer might have is a hedonic need. And hedonic needs are satisfied when purchases accomplish a need for entertainment or emotions or for recreational experiences. So consumers are looking for a very specific experience, not necessarily a specific product. So in this case, shoppers desire stimulation, status, and adventure while they're shopping. So some ways to stimulate the customer would be to have background music playing or lots of visual displays in your store. Things for them to look at and think about while they're shopping. Status and power is another way to meet the hedonic need. So some people choose retailers based on the attention and respect they receive from the associates working. So ways we can try to meet status and power as a retailer, we could have a greeter at the front door to say hello as customers walk in. Starbucks is a great example of a retailer who tries to meet hedonic needs by writing the customer's name and order on the cup to say, "Hi, we know you personally, and we are giving you a sense of power because you are important to us." Another example of meeting that hedonic need through status and power would be having your grocery bagger take your groceries to your car for you. So the third way to meet a hedonic need is to provide some adventure for the customer. An adventure could be as simple as looking for a customer who's coming in and looking for a bargain or a sale. So ways retailers try to help create a sense of adventure is they do create clearance racks. Or Target is a perfect example of providing adventure by having their dollar spot, where items change every week and they are good deals or bargains that a customer might find. So we know that consumers have two types of needs: utilitarian needs and hedonic needs. And as a retailer, We have to be able to meet both types of needs. Let's talk about stage 2 of the consumer buying process. As a consumer, once you realize you have a need, you look for information to try to help meet that need. When consumers search for information, they look for information on retailers, on channels, or even on specific products that are going to help them satisfy that. And there are 2 sources of information that a customer has access to. So we know that consumers go through an internal search where they access their own memory to try to think about previous purchases they've made. And we know that they also go through external searches where they look at the internet. They go to their personal sources like friends and family for information. Customers look at market-controlled sources. Market-controlled sources are advertisements because the market is putting those out there. Consumers also conduct external search through personal experience, actually going into the store and testing the product. So the goal of the retailer in this stage is to reduce the time it takes for the customer to do the information search. So this is the most important step for us in the consumer decision-making process. We want to limit search. So think about how retailers can limit the search. And let's talk about this in the discussion boards for Chapter 4. One thing to get us started, one way retailers limit search is that they make sure their websites are up to date with product information, sale information, and other forms of information that consumers might want. And the reason we try to limit search is because we hope that when they come to our website, they don't need to go further to look for information. They can move on to the next stage of their buying process, hopefully with us. Stage 3 of the consumer buying process is the alternative evaluation. Every customer has a set of evaluative criteria that they use when they make a decision. And evaluative criteria are the attributes of a product or service that we use to evaluate alternatives. In retailing, we use what we call the multi-attribute model to summarize how customers evaluate alternatives that they identify in the information search stage. Now, this is an example here of the multi-attribute model, and we're going to walk through it. And then I'm also posting a worksheet for you in the Chapter 4 content folder where you can play with the multi-attribute model and work through it to see how it would impact retail decisions.